Now that the ladies are back from space.
Thank you for having me. What were they up there, 10 minutes?
Well, it was very profound. I don't know if you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru now.
Yeah. What were her findings? That's my question.
Well,
what
did she
learn?
Daisy, which is super important.
Answer the question, but what do her breasts look like? Am I wrong?
Lifted. I hear there's no gravity in space. Space is the cosmic bra. That Katy Perry needs to be further empowered bothers me. She's already got about $1 billion.
He hosts Kickoff with sarcasm, noting Katy Perry and her crew returned from a brief space trip acting profoundly changed. Perry, in particular, channels a spiritual guru vibe, waxing poetic about her 10-minute float. This sets the tone. A publicity stunt dressed as enlightenment. PR strategy? Amplify Perry's image as a visionary pop star, deflecting from her recent career lull.
Celebrate female astronauts.
And because they were united.
Because a lot of men astronauts, they have to go to school.
Right.
They have to learn how to be a pilot first. Then they have to join the Air Force or the Navy. And then they get appointed by NASA.
That's right.
And then they go to space.
Here the hosts scoff at calling Perry, Sanchez, and King astronauts. Real astronauts endure years of training. These women, chosen for fame, just hopped aboard. The clip contrasts their joyride with the grueling reality of space missions, like astronauts stranded on a space station. PR-wise, Blue Origin likely pushed a diverse, empowered women angle to cloak the stunt in feminism, boosting brand appeal. But the authenticity falters. Celebrities, not scientists, were picked for clout, not contribution. Is this empowerment or exploitation?
And some stuff?
Yeah.
God, I hope they're faking stuff that's better than that.
I think this is the confusion. I think the confusion is that they essentially got to the threshold of space. They did not get like way out there where re-entry is very traumatic. And it has like, if you see like those heat shields that they put all over those things, and if they break off on the re-entry, everybody dies.
Right.
That's because you're way out there and the amount of heat that gets generated as you're re-entering the atmosphere.
Hosts clarify the trip's scope. A quick hop to 62 miles, the edge of space, with no real re-entry dangers. It's more roller coaster than rocket mission. This aesthetic, this minimizes risk, framing the trip as a spectacle. PR strategy? Blue Origin hypes the space angle to boost its brand, positioning itself as a pioneer. But is it genuine? The host's dismissal suggests it's pure theater. Low stakes, high reward. Why downplay the technical simplicity? To make the celebs seem heroic without real risk. It's calculated, prioritizing headlines over substance, leaving us questioning if the astronaut label is just branding.
That's my question.
Well,
what did she learn?
Daisy, which is super important. It shows you how quick the flight was. The dead Daisy that's like snipped from its life source was still alive or still vibrant.
Yeah, and it's always
The hosts poke fun at Perry's big takeaway. A Daisy stayed vibrant, proving the trip's brevity. Compared to astronauts, who return physically wrecked, this feels trivial. PR-wise, Perry's team likely pushed this wisdom to craft a narrative of growth, distancing her from pop star fluff. But is it authentic? A Daisy anecdote doesn't scream profound, more like a scripted soundbite. Why such a flimsy insight? It's calculated to fit the guru persona without requiring depth. The host's laughter underscores the gap between her claims and reality, suggesting a manufactured moment to keep her relevant in a crowded media landscape.
Like she was sick.
She was sick.
Yeah.
You're dying up there, man.
That's crazy.
I had Commander Chris Hadfield on, and he was at one point in time the longest person that had been in space from, wasn't he? It's like he was there for like 6 months. And he was saying it was unbelievable, like how difficult it was to recover once you get back to Earth. He couldn't walk.
The hosts cite Commander Chris Hadfield, who faced months of recovery after real space missions, unlike Perry's crew, who bounced back instantly. This highlights the stunt's lack of gravity. PR strategy? Blue Origin and Perry's team avoid mentioning real astronaut struggles to keep the narrative light and triumphant. But is it genuine? The contrast screams calculation, glossing over space's dangers to make the celebs' trip seem epic. Why ignore the gritty reality? to sell a feel-good story. The host's comparison exposes this, questioning if the trip was more about optics than exploration, leaving us skeptical of the hype.
Drive that in an hour. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's, by the way, I agree with you.
It's not that far. That's not even here to San Antonio. 62 miles ain't shit. But it is kind of technically space.
So they get up there and they look at the Earth?
Yeah, that's why like everybody's calling bullshit on the outside of the capsule.
Right.
That it wasn't like completely on fire and
right.
like, destroyed. Just because they didn't go that high.
They didn't go that high.
That's all it is.
Right.
But they did go to space, technically.
They went to space and they lost gravity.
The funniest thing is they come back and you need a parachute to land.
Right.
Like at all the technology Elon has. Elon is catching rockets.
What could
with robot arms?
What could go wrong in something like that?
Oh, it could explode on the way up for sure.
Oh.
Yeah, the way up is not ensured that those things are definitely going to hold it together.
So that's the biggest risk.
Yeah, you have these cannons filled with rocket fuel that are burning at like twice the... What is the temperature of rocket fuel when it's hot? Is it like... It's like close to the surface of the sun or some crazy shit.
Katy Perry's space trip, hyped as a feminist milestone, feels more like a polished PR stunt. Each clip reveals a pattern: shallow insights, celebrity clout, and branded empowerment over substance. Was it about inspiring women or boosting Blue Origin's ego? The host's skepticism suggests the latter, exposing Hollywood's knack for spectacle over depth. Why do we keep falling for these stunts? Maybe it's time to demand more than
breasts. I think it's important as they beam this woman into outer space that we answer the question, but what do her breasts look like? Am I wrong?
Lifted. I hear there's no gravity
the
in
hosts
space.
open by mocking Blue Origin's focus on the women's looks, with tight spacesuits and a nipple-shaped capsule stealing the show. It's less NASA, more Hollywood. PR strategy? Leverage sex appeal to grab attention, framing the trip as bold and modern. But is it genuine? The capsule's design screams calculated theatrics, not science. Why prioritize aesthetics over substance? To make headlines, not history. The host's sarcasm suggests this was a stunt to boost Blue Origin's brand, not a serious mission.
That Katy Perry needs to be further empowered bothers me. She's already got about $1 billion, and short of Taylor Swift, is the most famous pop star and female pop star in the world. That she needs empowerment says something sad about women, because it means that even with $1 billion, they still need a boost.
The hosts question why Katy Perry, a billionaire superstar, needs a space trip for empowerment. She's already at the top, hardly a struggling everywoman. PR-wise, Blue Origin likely pushed a feminist narrative to make the stunt palatable, cloaking it in progress. But is it authentic? Perry's involvement feels like a fame-driven choice, not a nod to women's advancement. Why her, not a scientist? It's calculated to maximize buzz, not inspire. The host's skepticism exposes the flimsy empowerment angle as a marketing tactic.
This experience is second to being a mom. Yeah, that's it. And that's why it was hard for me to go, because that's all my love right there. And I have to surrender and trust that the universe is going to take care of me and protect me, and also my family and my daughter. Because I am full up from being able to get that gift of being a mom, and to go to space is incredible. And I wanted to model courage and
they're just looking for famous faces who could draw attention to Jeff Bezos' weird little rocket. His first little rocket looks exactly like a penis. Exactly. The guy's working something out. I think he's working out his sexual fantasies on us. And this one looks exactly like a breast with the nipple on the top. Look at this one. I'm sorry, gentlemen. You know exactly what that looks like. Everyone does. And now look at this one. It's like I guess you could say igloo if you wanted to be charitable. To me, it looks like a breast. From above, it really looks like a breast with a nipple. Walter!
The hosts call the trip a stunt to hype Bezos' phallic-looking rocket, not advance exploration. The breast-like capsule design? Deliberate showmanship. PR strategy? Use provocative imagery to spark viral chatter, tying Blue Origin to bold innovation. But is it genuine? The host's tone suggests it's pure spectacle, more about Bezos' ego than space progress. Why lean into such gimmicks? To stand out in a crowded space race. It's calculated, prioritizing brand visibility over meaningful achievements, leaving us questioning the mission's depth.
I'm sorry. We're watching this woman. She was a news anchor like 10 years ago. Then she married the head of CAA. And then she reportedly cheated on him with Jeff Bezos and moved on to Jeff Bezos. And now we're supposed to celebrate her crossing new barriers for women.
The hosts joke that Bezos projects personal fantasies through his space program, with the capsule's design feeling more Hollywood than high-tech. It's a jab at his motives. PR-wise, Blue Origin likely embraced the quirky design to seem playful and cutting-edge. But is it authentic? The hosts imply it's calculated, a distraction from the trip's lack of scientific value. Why such a flamboyant aesthetic? To keep eyes on Bezos, not the science. It feels like a billionaire's vanity project, not a step for humanity. The hosts scoff at media framing Sanchez as a pioneer for dating Bezos and snagging a space ride. Her post-flight interview disappointed, lacking depth. PR strategy? Position Sanchez as a trailblazer to deflect scrutiny of her privileged access. But is it genuine? The host's dismissal suggests it's calculated. Her achievement is tied to proximity to wealth, not merit. Why celebrate connections over contributions? To prop up Blue Origin's narrative. It feels like a manufactured hero moment, not a real milestone.
In her post-flight interview, let's hear how she enjoyed it.
Earth looked it was so quiet. It was just quiet. And
is it what you expected?
No.
Better?
Yeah. I don't think you can describe it. Because, you know what I was saying? It was like quiet, but then also really alive.
That's because you're inside a space capsule.
And you look at it and you're like, we're all in this together.
Sanchez calls Earth quiet post-trip, offering vague thoughts far from real astronauts' profound reflections. The hosts highlight her lackluster commentary. PR-wise, her team likely coached her to sound introspective, to fit the life-changing narrative. But is it authentic? The shallow remark feels scripted, not heartfelt. Why such a bland takeaway? It's calculated to maintain the stunt's glow without requiring substance. The host's critique suggests this was about optics, not insight, raising doubts about the trip's impact.
These profundities, Walter. Buckle up.
You know, I actually met a female astronaut once who was on the space shuttle and had quite an interesting conversation with her. And real astronauts are extremely intelligent scientists who've been tested to the limits of their physical and mental fitness. But this was really not women in space. It was stupid people in space. This was the lowest IQ space crew that has ever been launched from Earth. She didn't even have the wit to have some writer give her lines for when she got back. She tried to make them up. It was so quiet. Yeah, you were in a soundproof space capsule, lady.
The host contrasts Sanchez with a brilliant female astronaut they met, a scientist who earned her place through rigor. This underscores the celeb's lack of credentials. PR strategy? Blue Origin avoids such comparisons to keep the focus on glamour. But is it genuine? The host's admiration for the real astronaut implies the celeb's trip was calculated AI, publicity grab, not progress. Why sideline actual experts? To prioritize fame. It's a stark reminder of the stunt's superficiality.
Space capsule, or they run cover for them in the press. But it's because we have this obsession with money, right? With like what looks like achievement. And Jeff Bezos is obviously very, very accomplished. But to me, it's like, I don't know, Matt, you and I have talked about this before. Like as a journalist, the more people fawn over somebody like Bezos and this, the more I want to run the other direction, right? It's like
the hosts slam the media for fawning over Bezos's crew, ignoring critical questions. It's wealth worship, not journalism. PR-wise, Blue Origin likely fed the media a feminist win story to avoid scrutiny. But is it authentic? The host's frustration suggests it's calculated, a tactic to shield the stunt's self-interest. Why no pushback on the narrative? To keep the spotlight positive. It feels like a coordinated effort to hype privilege, not progress, leaving us skeptical of the coverage.
They did add to the space program something that it hasn't had, which is the red carpet. And the sort of fashion critique at the beginning. So it was a combination of the MTV Music Awards, the Oscars, and the Apollo program.
The hosts note the red carpet welcome, turning a space trip into an MTV Awards knockoff. It's pure showbiz. PR strategy? Stage a glitzy return to cement the historic vibe, boosting Blue Origin's brand. But is it genuine? The host's jab implies it's calculated, more about spectacle than substance. Why such a Hollywood exit? To maximize media frenzy. It feels like a branded event, not a scientific triumph, questioning the mission's true purpose.
Publicity stunt that probably cost more money than any in history. The Elon envy from Jeff Bezos is just absolutely, conspicuous. Elon will get supermodels and a poet or something interesting for a crew. This was terrible.
The hosts call the trip a costly nullity, overshadowing real female scientists. It's a distraction from meaningful STEM progress. PR-wise, Blue Origin likely hyped the women in space angle to seem progressive. But is it authentic? The host's critique suggests it's calculated, sidelining actual experts for celebrity clout. Why focus on fame over impact? To grab headlines. It feels like a hollow gesture, raising questions about prioritizing optics over real advancement.
Are out space nuts a little bit?
Little space nuts.
Oh, wait. On that front, can you just watch? Here are the women dramatically exiting the nipple-shaped space capsule. Watch. There's the billionaire. See, honey, see what I got you for Christmas?
It's your baby.
She hasn't been away that long, dude. It was 10 minutes.
I know, literally.
Okay.
Perry dramatically exits the capsule, kissing the ground like she survived a war. It's over the top for a 10-minute trip. PR strategy? Amplify? The drama to make the trip seem epic, reinforcing Perry's bold image. But is it genuine? The host's tone implies it's calculated, a staged moment to milk sympathy and awe. Why such theatrics? To keep her in the spotlight. It feels like a performance, not a raw reaction, questioning her sincerity.
Danger. Gayle King, thanking God, and by that I mean Oprah, without whom she'd have no career. She too. Okay, kisses the ground. Somebody already, you should be kissing Oprah. Oprah's there, kiss Oprah. She's worth far more to you than...
Gayle King thanks God, or Oprah, milking the moment like it's a miracle. The hosts mock the exaggeration for a brief joyride. PR-wise, King likely leaned into gratitude to seem humble, boosting her relatable image. But is it authentic? The host's sarcasm suggests it's calculated, a play for media love. Why overplay? A safe trip? To craft a memorable narrative. It feels like a scripted act, not a heartfelt response, raising doubts about her intent.
Really, it's just, Lauren Sanchez gave this long interview about why they wore this tight outfit. Over here on the right, here it is in SOT 31. Watch this.
Sanchez defends the tight spy movie spacesuits as practical, but the hosts call it nonsense. They're designed for show, not function. PR strategy? Spin the suits as cutting edge to deflect criticism, keeping the focus on innovation. But is it genuine? The host's disbelief implies it's calculated, prioritizing sex appeal over utility. Why such flashy gear? To sell the spectacle. It feels like a marketing choice, not a practical one, questioning the mission's priorities.
Small step for womankind, one giant leap backwards for mankind, as far as I can see.
Or one giant step forward for reality shows.
Yeah, that's true. It was a reality show.
It could be a great concept, like, dumb celebrities in space. I would watch that.
Wasn't there like
helmets?
at least a little part of you that was hoping they'd get untethered? They could just I didn't want them to die, but maybe just be out there for a while so we could have a break from all this nonsense.
The hosts call the trip one giant leap backwards, trivializing women's real achievements. Celebs were props, not pioneers. PR strategy? Frame it as a feminist win to mask its shallowness, boosting Blue Origin's image. But is it genuine? The host's disdain implies it's calculated, sidelining scientists for spectacle. Why celebrate props over experts? To hype the brand. It feels like a setback, questioning if this was progress or just billionaire showmanship. Blue Origin's celebrity space trip, sold as a feminist triumph, feels like a billionaire's ego trip. From dramatic exits to sexy spacesuits, the 15 clips reveal a pattern: spectacle over substance, fame over expertise. Was this about empowering women or hyping Bezos' brand? The host's skepticism points to the latter, exposing Hollywood's love for glitzy distractions. Why do we keep eating up these stunts? It's time to demand more. Real progress, not red carpet rocket rides.